Hello, my name is Melissa. Welcome back to my channel. We're here to talk about contentment today, which is a really hard thing for a lot of people to wrap their brains around. Sometimes contentment can feel like you're settling and you're never going to get any better. Sometimes it seems like, kind of like we talked in gratitude, like it should be a feeling. I just feel content, satisfied. Instead of sometimes it's a choice. And it's a mindset that we have to build. We have to train our brain to be able to be content. Well, contentment, if you've struggled with it, you're not alone because many, many people struggle with that and they never seem to achieve it. But I believe that anyone can experience contentment. There are just a few obstacles that tend to get in people's way. First, let's look at the definition. On the Merriam-Webster definition online, it describes contentment as feeling or showing satisfaction with one's possessions, status, or situation. Now, that can be a little bit of a tricky definition. I think the definition itself is our first obstacle in understanding and experiencing contentment. When we think of satisfaction with possessions or situation, we tend to focus on the situation or the status or the possessions to say, do I have what I need? Do I have what I want? And then we determine if we're satisfied. I think that's backwards. I think what we have to look at first is the word satisfied and determine what does it mean to be satisfied? Sometimes satisfaction can actually come with a lot less than we think, or it can come in a totally different way than we think. Satisfaction is very relative to our state of mind, not so much to what we have. Satisfaction looks very different in different people, not based on their possession, status, or situation. For example, you often hear of or see very wealthy people that are not content or satisfied. Or you may come across someone who's very poor and they seem to be content and satisfied. So, what's the difference? I would say the difference is how you view satisfaction. I would say contentment isn't so much about what you have, but it's about what you think you need. So let's look at a few things. Life is full of ups and downs. Whether these ups and downs are situations, feelings, relationships, or even your thought life, you will experience highs and lows and everything in between throughout your life. Sometimes you may even move through the ups and downs on a daily or a weekly basis. This is how life is. Life is full of ups and downs. The Bible tells us that. It tells us that in this world you will have trouble, but it also tells us that God wants us to have an abundant life. I don't think that these verses are exclusive of one another. I think that together they paint a full picture of what life is. We will have trouble, but we can experience abundance. And part of being content is accepting and embracing both of those facts. So we've already indicated that this line represents the highs and lows of situations or feelings in your life. Maybe you were excited to get a new job that had great benefits, and then you found out you had a terrible boss. Then your boss was moved to another department, but then you had to take on responsibilities that you didn't really sign up for. Each of these things represents transition. They represent a transition from a positive state of mind to maybe a negative state of mind, a high to a low. They come with emotions. They come with thoughts that move up and down throughout your heart and throughout your mind. Excitement, frustration, relief, dread. When we're living in a healthy way, our emotions really should align somewhat with our situations. Even your thoughts can travel up and down on the spectrum. I can't believe I found a job. This is going to be great. What? How can someone be so unreasonable? This is going to be so hard. Phew, I'm so glad my boss is no longer an issue. Now I can enjoy my job. Wait, I have to do what? I'm tired just thinking about it. So you can kind of see how your thoughts move with the emotions and move with the situation. That's okay. That's normal and that's healthy. That's how we process events in our lives. One of the things that gets in our way, one of the obstacles to experience contentment in the midst of the changes in life is when we're in a high situation, sometimes we can feel like the lows are over. We can feel like, oh, okay, I made it. It's like I don't have to go through the bad things anymore. And when we have that line of thinking, when the bad times come, because life is full of ups and downs, we will crash hard. And sometimes that can even take us to a place of devastation, to a place of feeling very overwhelmed and defeated. Equally so, it can be easy to hang on to the lows in life, believing that you should never celebrate the highs because a low is always coming. This actually keeps you living in a state of despair and unable to even acknowledge or see the highs. We talked about that a little bit in our gratitude video about a week ago. So you can check that one out if you want to learn a little bit more about how clinging to those lows for a variety of reasons can keep you from even seeing the highs. Here's the thing, contentment is a stabilizer to emotional and situational roller coasters in our lives. Isn't that cool? Contentment can be a stabilizer. Life has highs and lows. Contentment is what grounds us throughout that. So there's three aspects to a healthy sense of contentment. Number one, it establishes a belief system that exists independent of your emotions, your situation, and your thoughts. Isn't that an interesting thought? You can believe something that is contrary to your emotions, your situation, or even your thoughts. Second thing that a healthy sense of contentment brings, it allows you to see the highs and lows as just a part of the bigger picture instead of each one is separate and the highs are at war with the lows and you're trying to figure out which one is bigger, which one is more powerful. Contentment actually sees the whole thing as one picture. It's just how life is, kind of like the Bible describes. Number three, a healthy sense of contentment makes it much easier to stay grounded when you're in the lows, stay humble when you're in the highs, and be grateful for every single day of life. And isn't that what we all want? So I know it sounds great, but how do we get a sense of contentment, especially if you have a history of trauma, because that makes it very, very difficult to see life as a whole picture. You tend to naturally see it in broken pieces, especially if there's any dissociation in your present day life. It can be difficult to see life as a whole picture and honestly, a little scary and overwhelming at times. But I have 3 tips for you to help you start to think about life a little different and start to retrain your brain to experience contentment. First of all, we've already talked about it. We reframe this whole idea of contentment, that it isn't about what you have, but it's about what you think you need. It can be hard to experience satisfaction when you're living in that state of trauma, PTSD, of DID, of a trauma coping system. It can be very difficult to experience satisfaction, but it doesn't mean that you can't think about it and that you can't explore what that word might mean to you and how maybe at the very least you can think about what maybe there's another solution. And I believe that God is incredibly creative at his solutions. And so if you really struggle with contentment, that would be my first suggestion to you is to take it to the Lord in prayer and to just ask him how maybe you can view that word satisfaction a little different and how he could help you be satisfied in your situation. The different solution than what you think. Number 2, accept life as it is. The ups and downs, they're both part of life. They are not exclusive from one another. And truthfully, no one should be looking for only highs or only lows because life is a combination. And that's actually healthy and that's okay. It's part of learning and it's part of growing. We're going to talk about that in our big life journal, our growth mindset series that we're going to do here in just a little bit. Picture your life, think about your life as a combination of highs and lows. Look for both the highs and the lows, acknowledge them and kind of process them. That's beginning to retrain your brain to see your life in a different perspective. As I've said before, if you have a history of trauma, you may struggle to see the highs. That's okay. We're not talking about a high like you won the lottery, or a high like you had the best day of your life, or you felt overcome with happiness. Because sometimes when you have complex trauma, you don't experience highs in that way. But we're talking about a high, just like in our gratitude video, a sense of relief can be a high. A moment of comfort, or a moment of relaxation, or honestly, a moment of gratitude, experiencing something positive or thinking about something positive that you have. It is possible. It just takes a little bit of retraining to get there. And that takes us right to number 3, which is gratitude. As we talked about in that last video, it's not always a feeling, but sometimes it's just more of a fact. And so look for those things to be grateful for. As you do these 3 things, I believe that your sense of contentment, your ability to be content, will grow, and that changes things. When we're content, we honestly experience less anxiety, less depression. We're able to be more present, and our capacity is able to grow in an amazing way. So I encourage you today, in case I haven't said it enough times, watch the gratitude video and practice these steps to increase your capacity for contentment. Next time, we're going to talk about how to turn your molehill into a mountain. See you then. Oh, don't forget to subscribe and click on that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode comes out. Have a great day.